Welcome to the show Gold Squadron Gays. It's the podcast where two Star Wars loving gays talk about and review their favorite Star Wars content while also being gay as hell. I'm your host, Bradley Brower.
I'm your other host, Charles Rogers, and my co-host is a punk-ass bitch who cuts me off in the middle of my very correct sentences. You fucking dickbag.
Well, now everybody gets to hear what you were talking about, so you might as well.
I was in the middle of throwing out a random transition thing, and Bradley just hits the end record button right in the middle of it.
My finger was hovering, and I think I'm
you
so
really
tired,
wanted
I
me to
just
stop
looped.
talking. Yes, and if you want to find out why Bradley's very tired, watch. You can watch, but you can also listen to the patron only cut for $3 a month. Patreon.com/GoldSquadronGays. I was in the middle of saying that I think the Paramount acquisition of Warner Brothers is going to fall apart. That's what I was in the middle of saying. I think either the California regulators are going to gunk it up, or they're not going to be able to. Ellison's not going to be able to actually come up with the cash to be able to do it, or some sort of antitrust suit is going to be brought. I don't know, by the DOJ or because Ellison's best buddies with the White House. But that's what I was saying before Bradley cut me off. That was not the intro I was going to go with, where it was going to talk about how we didn't record last week because I had COVID really, really, really badly. But nope, that's the intro now.
Fair
Bradley just occasionally gets tired of me and just turns the microphones off. He would kill for a button that just mutes my microphone.
Well,
I know
technically I have it, I just don't use it.
Technically you do, yes. One day you will deploy it. I'm going to do my best to mute, but occasionally I will cough in the middle of speaking to things, and I do apologize to the listeners. The cough lingers. I get it really, really, really bad, and the cough lingers for 3 to 4 weeks. So in the intervening time, a lot happened.
Yes.
One thing made it into the main show, mostly because we ran out of time in the pre-show, which is the Mandalorian and Grogu released a trailer.
A real trailer this time.
A real actual trailer this time, roughly around the point that they normally release a trailer
Right.
for a movie. We're about 3 months out, and this is about when we get a full trailer for a movie.
I also kind of found it funny, whereas I agree with the marketing decision to do a silly Budweiser spoof during the Super Bowl. I thought that was funny. However, I also believe that they should have released this trailer alongside it as well. So it would have been the spoof trailer would have been like an intro to the actual trailer, like maybe later on in the game or something. Been like, hey, here's this thing. Everybody thought that was the Mandalorian Grogu trailer, and then they would have been freaking out for 20 minutes online, and then watch them turn around and then release the actual theatrical trailer that we just got last week. So, again, they're so interesting with these trailers and this marketing. It's they're still telling us absolutely nothing by showing us, but it's still showing us a lot. It's really fascinating. I really want to get into the mind of whoever's making these trailers or something, because
It's the J.J. Abrams mystery box problem.
Yeah.
To where marketing has been doing this for the past 15 years or so. And I know that people throw giant hissy fits whenever marketing spoils, quote unquote, the movie.
Right.
I do know that's a common thing now in the days of the internet, is they'll just be like, oh, the trailer gave away all the best parts. Yeah, because they want people to watch the movie.
Right.
But it's oh, the trailer spoiled the movie, yada, yada, yada. But you can't say that and then at the same time turn around and be like, they're not showing us anything.
Right.
Well,
It's
if they show you things, you're going to complain. I thought it was really funny. I literally have the trailer pulled up. The trailer opens with... Did you recognize the shot that they opened with?
I recognized it, but I didn't know what it was from originally.
Visually,
originally, right.
It's a shot from Apocalypse Now.
Correct.
But it was famously the opening of the first full trailer for The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens did this same shot and used it as the opening trailer for the marketing. And now The Mandalorian and Grogu is doing this same shot and using it as the first shot in the trailer.
Right.
Which I thought was funny. We're so far down the timeline now. I'm quoting a couple of posts that I saw. We're so far down in the timeline that Star Wars has started to get nostalgic for The Force Awakens.
We're referencing a reference now.
We're referencing a reference, which is insane.
Yeah.
The other thing was I didn't know this, but it was pointed out to me, but I texted you this. My favorite brunch spot is Star Wars canon now. Did I text you the explanation on this, or did I just text you this with absolutely no context?
I don't think you did.
Okay, so in the opening of the trailer, Den walks up. I did not discover this because I don't read Orabesh, but apparently, according to my friend who does, who regularly brunches with me,
Who reads
he
Orbash?
texted me, who reads Orabesh and is a straight man.
I know,
So
but
it's a
it's just
straight
funny.
man that
Those
comes to brunch
sentences
with me.
together are just funny.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry,
Yes. The
continue.
reg the man the straight man who comes to brunch with me regularly who reads Orabesh
Uh-huh.
texted me and was like, "Hey, do you know what that booth that he walks up to for information says?"
What does
And
it
I'm like,
say?
"No." So the name of the booth is Hugo's.
Okay.
Hugo's is I'm not doxing myself here because it is a very, very famous restaurant
Right.
in West Hollywood. If something is shot around West Hollywood or set around West Hollywood, there's a good chance Hugo's is the brunch place they're going to use
Oh,
because
okay.
it's a very famous, very iconic building that's located in West Hollywood. And we're pretty sure this is a reference to this same restaurant.
Okay.
So this is going to be the best movie of all time, just because it's Star Wars canonized my favorite brunch place. Other than that, I
Sure.
don't have a whole lot with the trailer. Imbo's here.
The twins
We
are
we're
back. We
seeing
knew that.
we're seeing Pedro
Um,
Pascal's face.
which was a little bit of a surprise, I guess, even though not really, because they otherwise they wouldn't be able to pay him for the full amount that they wanted to, you know. So,
Yeah,
um,
we get it
he's
actually.
contractually required to take his helmet off if he's in the movie, I'm assuming.
We get an
Uh,
actually pretty good look at Stinky.
yeah, allegedly stinky.
I mean, yeah, allegedly this is Stinky. I got to
Yeah,
talk about this is going to go long, but I got to tell this story because you impressed me here on this one.
yeah,
I got to give you your flowers in public for this one. There was a image of purporting to be a two-pack of vintage set action figures that was floating around on the internet. And I sent it to you, just not thinking about it whatsoever. And you almost immediately sent back, that's AI generated. I was like, what? And you were like, yeah, look at the text at the bottom. If you scroll in,
yeah,
it's gibberish. And you were also like, the vintage collection box set does not look like that.
yeah.
You pointed out several things about the image that I was like, oh,
That's how much of a nerd I am that I immediately clocked a vintage collection action figure set as not being authentic because A, the gibberish text that was on there was actual gibberish and not like the Latin gibberish that they usually put in like placeholder text. And then also the design of the box. It was close, but it wasn't the exact thing because I think maybe it was a day later, they revealed like some Mandalorian and Grogu actual vintage collection stuff, and then they have a different logo, they have a different everything for the toys now. So it was like, oh, that's what it's actually gonna look like versus what that one because that one was
yes,
using like the actual movie logo and it wasn't using the toy logo, which is technically different because I think the toy logo is a little bit more generic. It's the Mandalorian font, but it just says the
right.
Mandalorian Grogu. But yeah, I mean, I'm just
I
like
mean,
technical about my toys, you know, so.
you are. I mean, the trailer looks fun.
No, it does. I mean, it looks action packed. It looks like there's going to be bits of comedy. There's going to be, you know, little cutesy stuff.
Heavier focus on Grogu, which is
A lot heavier
good. A
focus.
lot
Yeah.
heavier focus on Grogu, which is, I think, good because I think the Mandalorian's story arc has kind of reached a natural point
Agreed.
for Grogu to step up and do more. And it's very ILM. It's very the spirit of George Lucas to be like, can we center the emotional core of this movie around a fucking puppet? And if the Muppet Show has proved anything, well, I don't want to say that because the Muppet Show, Kermit is an actual talking frog.
Right.
We rambled on this section much longer than I think we probably should have. So we should probably talk about something else. Star Wars. I don't know how to pivot. Hey, Bradley, what episode are we covering today?
Today we're talking about Star Wars Resistance Season 1, Episode 8, Synara's Score. With his spy in place, pirate leader Kragan Gore seizes the opportunity to strike at the Colossus. Charles, what's one thing you liked about the episode and one thing you did not?
I really want to shout out the music in this episode. particularly in the last sequence, the last 10 minutes. I'm gonna have a note about the feeling of that action sequence. A lot of that is due in part to just how Star Warsy the music is. Like it's very prequels John Williams with this score. And I loved it a lot. I thought the score really, really shone in this episode on the back of the action scene. It was pretty great. One thing I didn't like about this episode, I don't think they did an adequate job. They kind of explain why, like, Yeager's group specifically is doing this incredibly important repair, but they don't really explain why they waited until the last minute to do it. Because that's the tension of this episode, right?
Right.
That they need to fix this part, but the Aces are going to do the supply shipment. So if why didn't you start on this sooner? Or if why aren't you checking
Right.
the turbo lasers to figure out that this part, like this episode basis relies on a series of very stupid decisions on Doza's part that I don't feel like is consistent with his character and I don't feel like is adequately.
I agree. Yeah.
What about you? One thing you liked and one thing you did not.
Surprisingly, the one thing I liked was this running gag of Niku not being able to talk. I like that he's not talking. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I just found it kind of funny, like, ha ha, ha, he can't actually speak because, Yeager tells him, don't speak. You're not allowed to talk about anything. And so he genuinely covers his mouth. I thought it was just kind of funny. The one thing I did not like, though, about this episode, and I don't want to say it's lazy because I don't think it's lazy. This is just a trick in animation, or this is just like a thing that animators do. The pirates, the generic pirates, a lot of the models were just reused. There was just like generic alien that was copy and pasted three times, and there's like three of that species. I think they did the same thing with like the Trandoshan alien. There's like at least three of them, and I'm like, there's only three different species of aliens in this pirate group, and that's it. Like, and everyone, only the important characters are different species. Like, it was just weird. Like, I didn't like how like Kragan was like the only one that wasn't like this new
Kragan and
species or whatever.
Synara.
Yeah, right. I'm like, they're the only ones that are not another species other than the other pirate. It was weird. It was just like these copy and pasted models, and they were all wearing the same outfit too, which I noticed, which is it made some of the action confusing because like I think there's a moment where like Tam is like punching one of the like rat looking pirate guys in the face, but then it cuts to that same exact rat looking pirate guy like riding on a speeder bike and causing mischief somewhere else, but it's like they're different characters. Like they're not the same pirate, but they're wearing basically the same outfit, or it's like it wasn't distinguishable, not like they weren't different colors or anything like that. They were all the same like skin tone or hair color or whatever it was. And I don't know. I didn't like that because it made some of the action confusing for me, especially like when Kaz is fighting the Trandoshan for the Electro staff or whatever at one point. He like knocks him out, but then like it cuts to another Trandoshan wearing the exact same outfit on a speeder bike, and I'm like, wait, I thought he just knocked that guy out. Why is he over here doing this other thing? Like, it just was a little confusing for me. And I don't know if that's just like they just didn't get around to like maybe changing the color on some of these aliens, but because obviously they're going to use the same model for every alien, but like, they changed the clothes, they changed the colors and stuff. But I just feel like this episode they just didn't do that or it just seemed like it was a little like, yeah, I could have tried a little harder.
Do you know what I'm fucking sick of in Star Wars? Because
What's that?
Mandalorian did this too. It's been a
What?
continuing problem. Criminals are always the same alien species.
Mm,
It's always the ones that were in Return of the Jedi. It's always Weekways and Quarren
yes.
and Trandoshans and I don't like that at all. I know they've tried to move away from it a little bit in the publishing side of things. Like they do
Hmm.
understand that like because High Republic, shout out to my beloved High Republic. The High Republic does include things like a Trandoshan Jedi to try to get away from this.
Right.
And like, can we switch it up and have like, but even that, like, can we have a Twi'lek pirate? Like, can we do that? But even like some of it falls into those same stereotyping within the universe. Like,
Sure.
your character on For Light and Dice is a Weequay because obviously one of the pirates is going to be a Weequay. So that is something. Now that you pointed out, that is something I've noticed. There is a commentary, I guess, that all of the pirates are aliens I guess we'll get to this further down the line in the plot, but the fact that the First Order is villainizing these aliens
Right.
and the pirates are all aliens. In Matthew Stover's Revenge of the Sith novel, it is explicitly stated that Count Dooku designed, who's a human supremacist, designed the Confederacy to entirely be led by aliens so that they would villainize aliens in the minds of the Republic populace.
Right.
So something like that may be going on here, but I still don't like that it's all aliens. It's all the same aliens.
Yeah.
It's always the same alien. Anyway, we should talk about the actual content of this episode.
Section 1. On the Colossus, Captain Doza pressures Yeager to get the station's cannons operational due to the growing threat of pirate attacks. Doza explains that the 8th Squadron are not available to help because they will be escorting a supply shipment, leaving the platform more vulnerable. Niku discovers that they need a new part for the tracking computer, and Yeager orders Kaz and Tam to locate the chip. At the Office of Acquisitions, Flix and Orca don't have the chip they need and suggest sourcing directly from their suppliers, the Scavengers. Kaz and Tam head over to the loading docks to seek help from Kaz's scavenger friend Synara and find her working there. Kaz struggles to explain what they need, and Tam interjects with the correct information. After examining the damaged chip, Synara identifies it and agrees to look for one. She comes back with a new chip, and Tam confirms it will work. As they leave, BB-8 expresses distrust in Synara. Kaz agrees, but acknowledges her help. Back at the garage, Tam presents the chip to Yeager, who finally gives Niku a break. Meanwhile, Synara secretly scouts key Colossus defense systems before contacting the other pirates, demanding to report directly to Kraken.
The Resistance writers are big Star Wars nerds.
Okay.
Quoting from Bucket's List on StarWars.com, the 8 extra fun facts from the episode, quote, the Komar Tri-Tracker chip is an obscure piece of artillery first mentioned in the Imperial Source Book, a role-playing game supplement published in 1989, end quote. So they love to mine source books.
I mean, why wouldn't you though? Like, I feel like if I was running, okay, I'm jumping into the fantasy world of I have my own Star Wars show. Why would I not have in the writing room the complete Star Wars Encyclopedia Guide 2026, like written by Pablo Hidalgo, sitting
Or
on the
just
desk?
get Pablo Hidalgo sitting in the room.
That too.
A
Like,
lot of shows do that.
just
They
have
just get that guy.
like, even if he wasn't available, I would at least have some kind of reference books handy, like standing by with like notes and like literal annotations and things like literal all kinds of like stuff just sticking out of it, being like, okay, can we use this? Have we used this? Is this something we can use? Like, well, if it's in that book, then it's usable. I mean, because it exists in the universe. So let's go through and see what we can steal from here, because why wouldn't you?
That's the best way to do it. There's shows that have definitely done it. A lot of the Filoni shows love to do this. Shows that he
Mhm.
either runs or he's heavily involved in the making of. Love to be like, well, there's already this thing that exists. Let's go ahead and use it and twist it and remix.
Yeah.
And you can definitely tell this comes up a little bit more in the publishing side of things too, because they make very heavy use of the story group to say, like, writers have talked about, like they've posted online about, sometimes they'll just be like, hey Pablo, I need a random alien species. Hey Pablo, I need a random ship designation. Hey Pablo, I need a part that they can be doing. And Pablo's like, yes, here is this obscure piece of technology from a 1989 source book. And so it makes the universe feel lived in, and it makes
Right.
the universe feel cohesive, but at the same time, it's a fun little nod if you did recognize what it was. So I like when they do this in a really subtle way, because it sounds like Star Wars gobbledygook, but it's a really fun reference. I like when shows do this. I also like when they kind of do something similar, but like remix it maybe a little bit. Obi-Wan Kenobi did this really well, in my opinion, where it did stuff that's in the other media, but it's not just like rubber stamping it. I like their version of the Fortress Inquisitorius. I know it's very controversial to say, but I actually like that it's slightly different.
See, I wouldn't even
You wouldn't
know a
know because
thing.
you haven't played Fallen Order.
I wouldn't know a thing.
We do find out over the course of this early scene that the reason that they're going to Yeager's garage specifically is that the project is top secret. So Doza trusts Yeager to do it, to handle it. Nobody's going to go looking for this thing.
Right.
It's not going to be one of the ace mechanics that's going to be doing it, because that would be obvious. So they did kind of explain that well enough to me to be like, oh, okay. Because I'm fond of saying that some of the best written stuff, one of my tricks to like, here's how you can tell something is written really well, is if I, the audience, ask a question aloud and then a character either provides the answer or asks the same question immediately afterwards. That did happen this episode. I did ask aloud, why is Yeager doing this? And then they immediately answered, the project is top secret. I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah. You knew when you wrote this episode that I was going to ask this question at this exact point.
Exactly. And then clearly, I guess Yeager and Doza have some kind of buddy buddy, thing going on to where like he obviously trusts him with this information or
Hmm.
like keeping the place safe and it just makes sense like it'll come up in their meeting in the next scene when we get or the next section when we get to it but
Yeah, when we
I
get
have a
there.
complaint when we get there.
Speaking of complaints, Orca channels what every customer service worker wants to do when they're asked something. I've used to work in retail. Bradley, I know, also used to work in retail. You were working as an assistant manager of I don't think I can say the store. I don't know if you're
Why? I
comfortable
don't
with me
work there
saying.
anymore.
Okay. You were an assistant manager at a sunglasses hut when I met you.
Yeah, for like 5 years.
Yeah, you were the
I
entire
worked my
time.
way up. I was an associate and then I was an assistant manager for a long time.
Yep.
So,
I'm sure you also felt this deep in your soul that, oh, yeah, we totally have five of those. It's in our box of kyber crystals in the back. Like,
yeah.
do you ever get that? Let me check. Can you check the back?
Well, everybody always wanted quote unquote a fresh pair. They didn't want the pair that had been out on the floor because other people have touched it and or worn it and or stretched it out and or scratched it and or whatever. Even though technically when we were selling there, it was just policy just to grab it, put it in the case and then give it to them from the floor and then I would just go in the back and then replace that one with a new one. But I understand the thought process of like, oh, I don't want the one from the floor, but I would always check it. Like it's not like I would be like, oh, this one has a scratch, let me give it to you anyway. Like, no, this one has a scratch. I'm gonna damage this one out and I'll go get you a new one. Like I'm not gonna give you the floor model if it's bad. Like, you know what I mean? But I mean, most of the people would ask, and I would, if they just ask, like, hey, can I get a different one? I'd be like, sure. Like, if I had it. Sometimes if it's the last one, I would be like, they would be like, can I get a discount or whatever? And I'd be like, well, technically no, but which would, I think is a weird policy to not have, by the way. But if it is the last one and it is a quote unquote floor model, it is kind of like, yeah, maybe you should get a little bit of a discount. But I don't know. We were really entitled back then during the economy days, and
Back
now,
when everybody had money and
right,
could
when everybody
afford
had money to spend
luxuries.
on
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
The dude that Synara knocks out is named Orthog. That has no relevance other than I find the name funny.
Oh, I was like, it took me a minute because this is not the only alien she punches in this episode or whatever. So like,
Oh, the
I was like,
first
wait,
guy she knocks the
I
fuck
was like, wait
out
a
is
minute,
named
are we already at
Orthog.
that section? How tired am I? That's
Well,
hilarious.
the buckets list notes, and this is why I wanted to bring him up, that we've
Yeah.
seen him in the background of
Oh,
episodes.
right.
And this
Yes.
is a nice thing about the Colossus. This is a thing that works really well about the show is once you learn who people are, you start seeing them randomly in the background.
Yeah.
There's very much a sense that there people have lives outside of Cass.
Right.
Tam references a couple of old ships that I find really cool. Uh, the two that she references are a VF-72 gunner ship. That's the first one. The VF-72 is a real, actual like plane,
Oh,
a real actual plane that got used in World War II.
Tam from Earth confirmed question mark.
It's a reference to
I
it.
know, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yes, Tam, this plane time traveled into the past.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's an actual plane. The Fighter Squadron 72 or VF-72, originally established as the VF-7 and redesignated the VF-72 in 1940. Disestablished in 1943. So it served in World War II.
Okay.
The other thing that they mention is more relevant to us, which is an old Y-Wing. So shout out to Gold Squadron. We do get an indirect mention in this episode.
Okay.
Tam also has Kaz immediately clocked as trying to flirt with Synara and badly.
He's He's so annoying in this episode.
He is so annoying in this episode.
Like he's trying to be both secretive but also think like make it seem like he knows what he's talking about. And Sonara's kind of like, "What the fuck? Like, what do you want?" She's so unbothered all the time, and I kind of love that about her. And then Tam's just like, "This is what we need." And then she's impressed because she's like, "Oh, why did you just say that? Like, why didn't you just say that's what you wanted?"
Yes, Tam and Synara get along because they're very similar types of people. We'll talk about that more when we talk about
Yeah,
their
yeah.
conversation later in the episode. But yeah, Kaz is trying to be smooth and a spy and being shitty at both. Synara is great at being a spy.
No, because she's actually
She
cool,
and
calm, and collected.
she's cool, calm, and collected, and she can follow logical trains of thought. There are several times in this episode Synara's behavior should have flagged Tam or Kaz as suspicious, and neither one of them, at least in this episode, expresses that they find her suspicious at all, which is also how she is a good spy because people like her so they don't immediately suspect when she does something that's a little shady.
I feel like this is a good time to introduce my Sonara is just really hot, so everybody trusts her immediately. I'm guessing that's what is going on here. I feel like Kaz and Tam both like her. That's my conspiracy theory right here.
I think that's a very good read of the situation. Everyone's extremely bisexual,
I think that's the theme of this
and I
show.
think that's what's going on. And you know
Yeah,
what? Sonara does have two hands.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Sonara has two hands. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's everybody's into her, and you know what?
yeah,
Good on them. She's very pretty.
yeah, I
That
think that's what's
also works
happening.
in her favor as a spy.
Hmm.
That is something that helps out a lot.
I love it.
No, she's really good. She immediately clocks something's up, and then she starts acting on it.
Right.
Like
She's like,
she's
let me.
immediately scouting. She's immediately reporting in. She's
Right. Like she's like
immediately
something is
contriving
weird
reasons.
here. Yeah,
Hmm.
I need to like turn it up. And that's why she immediately goes like, I'm gonna check in with the boss because like this is suspicious and weird. Section 2. At Doza Tower, Doza pressures Yeager to get the cannons operational within the hour, warning that the pirate tactics and resources have improved, leaving the Colossus barely holding on even at full strength. Yeager promises to find a way. Meanwhile, Synara informs Kragan that the tracking system appears to be down, and with the aces away, the platform could be vulnerable, prompting Kragan to order confirmation and begin preparing for an attack. At the workshop, Synara arrives, surprising the team. When Synara notices the targeting computer, Kaz awkwardly lies that they are fixing a food steaming machine. Tam offers to treat Synara to a meal in exchange for the free parts, and sending Kaz and Niku back to work. In the marketplace, Tam tells Synara about her life and her current job as a mechanic on the Colossus while she saves up to race again, bonding with Synara over wanting more from life. Their conversation is interrupted as Tam notices the Ace is departing on a mission. She realizes the platform is temporarily without its main defense squadron and races back to work. Synara contacts Kragan to report that the Aces are gone and the turret targeting computer is down, confirming the Colossus is vulnerable that they will have an opening.
So Doze is just like, gosh, I don't know what's going on here. The pirate attacks are getting worse. It seems like they have more resources. It seems like they have more funding. It seems like somebody is like equipping them. That
This is what made me mad. Okay, so two things here. So one, yes, Doza being like, we should probably think about strengthening our defense system now. Only now, not previously. I don't know why we didn't think about this weeks and weeks and weeks ago when the first pirate attack happened, which you would have thought that like, maybe we should do something because clearly we have become a target. So let's go ahead. It might not, maybe it's not a one-off thing that the pirates attacked us already. Like maybe they want to come back. So that was the first thing that made me mad. The second thing was that Dozo was like, or Yeager comes in and is like, hey, I'm just letting you know, like we found the part that we needed to fix the thing. It's just gonna take a while to fix. Dozo's like, I need it done within an hour. And Yeager's like, all right, we'll figure it out. I'm like, you just came in and said it was impossible. You literally came in and said it is impossible to get it done soon, but I can get it done. It's just impossible to get it done soon.
sometimes when your manager sets unrealistic expectations, it's not worth it to argue with them. Sometimes it's just The right call is just to say yes, absolutely, and then if you don't get it done, you warned them
Yeah.
once that it wasn't going to be feasible. And yeah, this is Doza's every middle manager being like,
Yeah.
well, and here's the thing too. It's like I do understand where he's coming from because, like, yes, the platform is defenseless, so that is going to cause
That is pretty
anxiety.
important. Yeah, yeah.
Except you knew the platform was going to be defenseless while this part, maybe the part broke. Maybe that's what's going on here. Maybe the part
Yeah.
broke at an inopportune time. They couldn't unschedule the supply run, so they had to race to do it. But if that's the case, why aren't you giving them more resources?
Yeah.
Yeah, like why do they have to source the parts
Right,
that
yeah.
they
Why
need?
is it Yeager's responsibility to figure out how to fix it, like fix the parts and things?
Yeah.
Like shouldn't you
You go send somebody,
right.
you, captain of the station, go send somebody to get the parts that they need from the salvagers.
But
You pay
also
for it.
right, that's my other thing is Yeager paid for the part because when Tam gets the chip from Synara, they go, just put it under Yeager's tab. It's fine. Like,
Yep.
but I mean, granted, maybe Doza's paying him to do this. Like, I don't know, but it just seems a little weird that like immediately it's
Almost
on
certainly.
this team to just like figure it out. Like instead of maybe, oh, I don't know, have Doza go to the salvagers himself and be like, hey, we need all this XYZ stuff. Because I get that it's supposed to be a secret, but I also kind of like, don't you want the people of the Colossus working together to help, fortify the station? I don't think that needs to be a secret that we want to fortify the station. Like that, I get like the secret is that oh we're vulnerable. That's the secret. But like maybe making like a group wide effort to be like, hey, this happened a couple weeks ago. We should probably start fortifying the station against pirate attacks, and then everybody kind of chip in and help and figure it out. I feel like the people of the Colossus
Yeah.
would be like, yeah, this is a good
Doza's
idea.
Doza's because there is the point too of like we'll get to when we get to the conversation in the end, but like everybody suspects the pirates have a spy on the station.
Mm,
The First Order almost certainly has a spy on the station. There are spies everywhere. They don't know. So if they start sniffing around, but like I don't know. I feel like this episode, in attempting to solve some of the problems of setting up the plot here, makes Doza seem stupider than I feel like we've been told his character is.
he seems a little incompetent. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like, but yeah, it's for the sake of plot though. Like
It's for the
obviously,
sake
like
of plot. The plot has to keep moving.
yeah.
We move on. I do want to make a very brief note. You don't know this, but I'm going to point it out. When you watch the episode, did you notice how Doza stand when he's standing at rest?
Arms behind his back or
He's
whatever.
standing at parade rest.
Yeah.
Make a note of that.
Okay.
That's a clue about Captain Doza's backstory.
Interesting. Okay.
That when he stands, he defaults to parade rest. We get this scene with Synara and Tam. This is a big scene for Tam's character. Little shot of OP Pit. I love seeing OP Pit. Now that we've pointed OP Pit out, I can't unsee him.
The janitor is always going to show up constantly.
He's just there on break. He's not the only person who's going to randomly show up in the scene, but he gets a focus of the camera. This scene, again, I want to go back to Synara as a really good spy because you notice how easy she's manipulating Tam in this scene because she just keeps prompting Tam to talk about herself.
Right.
She keeps asking her questions. She keeps like empathizing where appropriate to say, oh, we're the same, but not really giving any specifics. She's a really good spy. She's really, really, really good at this. We also get a little more detail about Tam's backstory to go along with. We already kind of knew she was a racer because it was mentioned in the episode with Hype Phazon that they both had aspirations of being aces and Hype made it and Tam didn't. We find out in this episode why Tam didn't. She basically wagered all her money on a racer and lost the race and lost the racer. And so didn't have any money. So that's why she needs the fireball so badly. That's why she was
Right.
promised the fireball. And that's why it's so important because she wants to be a racer. That's supposed to be her return to racing. You know what else is notable about this scene? This is the point, I believe, in which the show passes the Bechdel test.
Oh, it only took 8 episodes?
It only took 8 episodes,
I think.
I think, but this one I definitely noticed because I was watching for it.
No,
They
I think
have
you're
it's
right. Yeah.
2 named women who have a conversation that is not about a man.
Right.
Tam very quickly mentions her father, but the conversation's not about him.
It's not about her father, right?
Now, I
Huh.
don't love the Bechdel test as the end all be all, but it is a good barometer by which to check
Right.
how a show is treating its female characters. So, episode 8, they have definitely passed it with this scene.
And to be fair, without Synara, really Tam is our only true female character so far. I mean,
Lead
I know we
female,
met
we have Tora,
we met
but
Tora.
Tora hasn't really been a main character up to this
Right. That's what I
point.
mean. Yeah. So far, technically, Tam has been our main female character. And so there's been really nothing else. I mean, yeah, Aunt Z kind of popped up here and there, but she's not a main really
Aunt Z's
character. So
around.
yeah, she's around. Yeah.
The weird old lady is around and in
Yeah.
this
Those don't
episode.
necessarily count.
But
So
they're kind of there. They're not really characters.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, like Freya has been around, Tora's been around, like they've shown up.
Right. They just
But
haven't
yeah,
done
Tam is
anything.
consistently in every episode.
Right.
And now
And
we've got Synara
she finally talks
pretty
to another
consistently.
woman.
Has an in-depth conversation with another woman
Love it.
about something that is not a man. And it
Mhm.
would have been so easy for them to have this conversation be about Kaz or Doza or Yeager,
Right.
but they didn't. They made it about Tam, and I really like that. That Tam feels like she's bonding with Synara, that she has someone she can open up to and relate to, and I like that a lot. This was a really good episode for Tam.
This was, I feel like this was kind of her episode. Like, Kaz really is a passive player for most of this episode up until the pirate attack. So, I mean, because he doesn't really do much. Tam is actually the driving force of most of the plot here because she's the only one who genuinely knows what the part is. She's the only one who genuinely like can speak on things, and it's like Kaz is just kind of here as emotional support puppy for most of the episode. So I mean, yeah, it's nice to have a change up once in a while where Kaz is not the focus of an episode.
Yes. And Tam will continue to gain prominence as the show goes on. Do not Google it. It will be a big fucking spoiler.
Okay,
Do not Google it.
I will not.
So her importance to the show continues to grow as the show goes on. Niku will always kind of remain supporting player.
Psychic status, yeah.
But Tam is going to gain more prominence as the show goes on.
Got it.
And in the season finale for season 1, it will become very obvious why.
Oh, okay.
It will also become very obvious through season 2, where her arc is cut drastically short. But we'll get to season 2 when we get to season after we do Maul and The Force Awakens and probably Visions 3. It'll be a hot minute before we get to
It's
season
gonna be a hot minute before we get to season 2. Yeah, yeah.
My final note for this section, I had to pause and check to be sure I'm not crazy. The very end of this scene, where Kaz is kind of waving from behind a group of people that are just casually walking past him. Did you notice who that was? That just walks by Kaz with no reaction. It's probably the most egregious case of they threw a random model on here and
Who is
it
it?
kind of doesn't make sense. It's his fucking shitty ex-boyfriend.
Wait, what?
Jace and his gang are the ones blocking Kaz when he's trying to wave around to get their attention at the end of the scene.
I
And
missed
and
that.
Jace makes no reaction. I had to go back and watch it again just to make sure I wasn't crazy. And no, they just dumped them randomly in the scene, and Jace just walks by Kaz and just completely ignores him.
I mean, I remember seeing I don't know what the female mechanic's name was.
I
But
don't either, but yeah,
but
she's
she's
the
later
one.
on in the episode when they like save her from like or like she's like fallen down or whatever during the pirate attack. They pick her up and she kind of like walks away, but like
Yeah,
there's no like voice acting happening. It's she's the model. They're just using the model because she's a resident, obviously, of the Colossus. But that was the only one I recognized. I didn't look and
nope.
see for Jace. That's
Jace
really
is right there. He
so
walks
strange.
right by Kaz because they put random models in there and they didn't think about how it's on site for
Or
Jace
or what
with
if like
Kaz.
a conspiracy theory? What if this episode was animated before that episode and they had the
I think
models?
they knew. I think they knew. I think they just dumped random people. I have to headcanon it as Jace is giving him the cold shoulder in public, and they're in a very crowded marketplace.
I don't
But
know.
Kaz
We'll
is
see.
also Kaz is also oblivious enough to not recognize Shitty X is standing literally right next to him because he's hyper focused on the hot woman on the other side of the market. It's a very Kaz thing to do.
Section 3. Kaz and Tam return to the shop where Yeager scolds them for falling behind schedule. Kaz jokingly questions the odds of an imminent pirate attack when pirate ships suddenly attack. Tam manages to successfully repair the tracking system. Explosions erupt at the loading docks, prompting her to rush out and help Synara. Yeager forces Kaz to stay behind and prioritize getting the cannons online. Meanwhile, Doza calls in security teams and urgently demands to know the status of the cannons, while Yeager and Kaz race towards the turbo lasers on a repulsor lift under heavy fire. Kragan and his pirates pursue them. At the loading docks, Tam and BB-8 fight through multiple pirates, searching for Synara amid the chaos. On the platform, Kragan orders his crew to stop the repairs, leading to a fight where Yeager and Kaz fight the pirates while trying to install the targeting computer. Meanwhile, Tam finds Synara hiding. A pirate almost blows her cover, but Synara protects her identity by knocking him out before he can speak. On the gun platform, Kaz battles a Trandoshan while struggling to properly install the targeting computer, coordinating with Yeager, who fights with Kragan. Kaz and Yeager manage to get the targeting computer back online, allowing Doza to activate the turrets. This causes Kragan to order his pirates to retreat.
So yeah, Kaz temporarily forgot that he wasn't a piece of Star Wars media because he does pull a what's the worst that could happen, and then the worst immediately happens.
Yeah, I love when
Classic Star
characters do
Wars
that.
bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Classic Star Wars bit.
I love when a character says, "How could things get any worse?" And then the
And then
thing
they
happens.
immediately get
Yes.
worse.
I love when
Yes.
that happens. Yeah. No, it's great. Or it's like it's the equivalent in Star Wars, I guess, of I have a bad feeling about this, and then something happens. I'm actually kind of surprised that no one in this scene said I have a bad feeling about this, and then the pirate attack happens. I feel like that would have been kind of perfect, but alas.
We do get a high speed chase in a forklift, which is an extremely Star Wars bit to do. Actually, I want to talk about the Star Wars-ness of the back half of this episode.
Yeah.
The way that this episode is edited. I want to shout out the editing specifically. Alex McDonald is the editor of this episode.
Okay.
Michael Tavira, by the way, is the composer whose music I shouted out because I also love the music in this. This episode, I'm going to say a statement and then I have to clarify the statement because there's at least one listener who will scream at me for this statement if I don't clarify it. This section felt the most Star Wars of the show so far. And I say that not to say that the earlier 7 episodes have necessarily not felt like Star Wars, because they very much have, but this one is the most Star Wars. And it's everything coming together for how this sequence is shot between the editing of the 2 different battles that are happening simultaneously, the air battle with the speeder bikes and the quote unquote land battle with Synara and Tam, the way it perfectly balances those 2 fights, how it cuts back the music. The slapstick is there, but it's not like overdone in the way that like the one in the Triple Dark was done. This felt less animated to me and more like watching a Star Wars movie. And I really loved it a lot. I have very few notes for it. In fact, that's my only real note for it because I was just kicking my feet back and watching
No,
the action.
literally, I was so funny because when I was trying to do like the summary of this section, I was like, it's just the pirate attack. Like, I'm trying to be specific with like plot points, but it was just kind of like, you got Kaz and Yeager are doing their thing, and then you got Tam doing her own thing. So it's kind of like just 2 different, actions going on at the same time, and it just keeps cutting back and forth. And it's just good action. Like, it's just good, interesting things are happening. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a fun sequence. I wish more of these episodes were like this because I feel like my biggest complaint so far with Resistance is they cut out a lot of this.
Right.
Like this is like because I feel like sometimes this makes the episode longer and they cut this stuff out. I thought this was a decent proportion of the episode, that it was like actiony and felt Star Warsy, and like it was giving Skeleton Crew vibes. Like it was giving like, oh, here's the pirate attack. Like again, like it was giving me those vibes from Skeleton Crew. I liked that. I liked what we were seeing, and it was just entertaining the whole time. It was never like a moment where I was like, okay, now we can breathe. Like there's no lull in the action. It was very continuous. I think it's like a solid 5 minutes. Like it's like a good
It
chunk.
it felt very the third act of Rogue One.
Yeah.
It felt very the Death Star run from A
Yeah.
New Hope.
Hmm.
It felt like one of those incredibly paced, incredibly sequenced action sequences. And one thing I really like too is that they have spent 7 episodes getting us to care about these characters. So one thing where the show has taken sort of a different route than something like Rebels, because Rebels was action right off the bat.
Right.
And you came to care about the characters in the in-between moments between the action, but they were running, they were fighting, they were doing these action sequences even, very early on. That's not to say there haven't been action sequences, but this is like a full-on battle sequence that's happening. And by this point, we care about Kaz, we care about Tam, we care about Yeager, we care about the station. When we see people fighting, like we do have emotional investment at this point. So this was a good point in the season to drop something like this,
Yeah.
where we care, we understand what's at stake, and now we can have a fun episode, half of an episode where we're gonna lean into the Star Wars battliness of it all.
Right.
And I love that. I love that a lot. Quick note from Bucket's list. Yeager at one point says, "Get off my lift." That's a reference to Harrison Ford in the movie Air Force One, who says, "Get off my plane."
Section 4. Back at the workshop, Yeager praises Kaz for his courage and skill during the battle. Niku recounts hiding in a supply closet during the raid, and Yeager points out the timing of the pirate attack, and Kaz suggests there might be another spy on the platform. Meanwhile, Synara thanks Tam for risking her life. Tam emphasizes looking out for each other, and although Tam trusts Synara, BB-8 still remains suspicious. In Doza Tower, Captain Doza surveys the Colossus's damage and contacts Commander Pyre about his proposal, prompting Pyre to agree and arrive and oversee the plans personally.
We get some emotional payoff. Yeager says he's proud of Kaz for Kaz's actions during the battle, which is a really nice moment, given how Yeager's kind of treated Kaz like shit for 7 episodes.
Yep.
And then turns around and says, "Actually, I am really proud of you. You did a great job," which is great. I'm with you. I love Niku. I think he's a great character. I think when he's used appropriately, he's very funny. This episode, he was used appropriately.
Right. Because he otherwise
It
would have been a distraction this episode, I think.
Right. It's not like they gave him no dialogue, and it's also not necessarily like they made him completely the butt of the joke. Like Yeager understands that Niku talks a lot and says things he shouldn't.
Right.
And yeah, he tells Niku to stop talking at the end of the episode, but they don't really, other than Kaz snapping at Niku at one point saying he's more annoying when he doesn't speak than when he does, nobody ever really like treats Niku as anything more than like, okay, your personality's a little annoying at times, which I like. I like that
Yeah. No, for sure.
they could have made him like just the butt monkey and just have everybody dunk on him, but the characters clearly like him, even if they are annoyed by him. Yeager tells Kaz, "You were never the only spy on the platform." Ooh, I wonder what that means.
Ooh, who's the other spy?
Well, we know
Who are multiple
Synara
spies,
is.
actually.
Who
Yeah,
are we know Synara is, but who else could possibly be a spy? We
that's
don't
right.
know. We don't know. And then in the final scene, we get Doza. There's a really great shot of him looking over the destruction, and he's like reflected in the mirror.
Yeah.
I fucking love that shot. That shot's so good.
Oh, yeah, with all the smoke coming up and stuff.
With
Like,
all
it
the
just
smoke
looks,
coming
yeah,
up, and
glorious.
it's well lit, and like the fires are still raging, and you can see him reflected in the fire, like superimposed in the window. It's great. And then yeah, he's gonna consider Pyre's offer.
Right. Which, here we go.
Here we go. This is how they do it. This
This
is
is how they
how
do
the
it.
fascists do it. They create a situation by which you ask them to come in. And so when Pyre says, "I'm going to bring troops," then it's seen as a gesture of security,
Right.
a gesture of trust. And nope, that's how they worm their way in. They make you ask them to come in. And yep, they're going to come to the station personally and oversee security. So this episode had a returning director. I'm going to try my best. Bosco, I think is how you pronounce this last name. I'm sorry, I've done my best. He has already directed an episode of this show. He's directed Fuel for the Fire. This episode was written by a dude named Gavin Heinite, animation writer. He's written a couple of Star Wars, or he's written a couple of Marvel things. This is the only Star Wars thing that I can find on his IMDb page. But he's written for a bunch of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's written for Marvel Avengers Assemble. He's going to write 4 episodes of this. 2 episodes in season 1 and 2 episodes in season 2.
Nice.
All right. Bradley, do you have any final thoughts on this episode?
Final thoughts are it was great a week ago when I watched it.
Sorry, I got COVID. You've seen
kidding.
how many times I've had to mute and
No,
hack up
yeah.
a lung.
For sure. Which will make my editing a little bit easier. But
Yes, I
no,
did that for you.
No, really though. Thank you. But overall, I think this was a decent episode. I like Tam and Synara's like what I'm assuming is a budding relationship. Not romantic. I'm not gonna feed into that just quite yet. I was just being facetious when I was saying everybody's bisexual in this show.
I wasn't, but
But
please continue.
even though technically Synara is like a purple tone to her skin, which I guess could be alluded to bisexual lighting and
Yes,
you know,
Synara brings her own bisexual lighting with her.
yeah, theoretically.
That's amazing.
So I was just putting that out. But no, I thought this was a great episode. I think the action of this episode is so good that it kind of makes the rest of it like really like it makes it feel fuller, and I like that. So I had a good time. I wish we had more episodes like this because I like the heavy on the action in the third act essentially, and then kind of a slow build. But other than that, it was good. What about you?
I had a lot of fun watching this episode. I thought it was good. I think it was solidly written. I think that we're far enough in the show that the writers understand the voices of Kaz and Tam and Niku and Yeager. We are getting to see more Doza, which is good. He's a very important character, so I'm glad we're getting some more of him, even if the episode makes him look stupider than I think the show tries to tell us his character is. And yeah, it's just overall, we've entered the part of the show where it's just a really solid, it knows what it's doing
I know
at
what
this
it's doing,
point.
right?
It's having its own internal episodic plot, but it's also advancing the meta plot in great ways. So it's like, tune in next week and you'll find out what's gonna happen. And yeah, I enjoyed it a whole lot. What are we talking about next week?
Next week we're doing episode 9, the Platform Classic.
Yes, this is a Yeager episode.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're
We
gonna learn
haven't
some
had
more
that
about,
yet.
We're gonna learn some more about him. I promised
love
it
it.
was coming, and now we're gonna
love it. I love a good slight departure, I guess we'll call it. I don't know how it all gonna fold into the meta plot, but like I like that we can take a minute and go like, okay, what's happening over here? So
season 1 is really good about this. Is it will gradually build. It will take what seems like a break, but it's really not. And I like that a lot about the season. Season 2 starts that way, and then we'll very suddenly realize the show is about to get canceled.
oh yeah.
And there will be a point. I was just looking at the season 2 episodes, and I think I can identify the exact point in which the show realizes it's about to get canceled, and it rapidly needs to wrap up its plot. At least try to wrap up its plot as best as it possibly can. Well, Bradley works on a bunch of reality TV shows, and if you want to keep him employed so he can keep making the show, you can watch them. They are such shows as Temptation Island, Queen's Court, King's Court, Married to Medicine, The Circle, shows I'm not allowed to talk about yet. I have another podcast, For Light and Dice, that is returning with a behind-the-scenes episode on, part 1 of a behind-the-scenes episode on March 6th, which is very exciting. We did have to delay recording a week because, again, I got COVID. Can't record a podcast if I can't speak. I also write books. Those are called Beach House Studios. You can find them places you get books online, I guess. Anyway, this episode ran long, and we should end it so that I can eat lunch and Bradley can go back to sleep. Run the social. Thank you for listening to Gold Squadron Gaze. Did Charles fuck something up? Email us at goldsquadrongaze@gmail.com and let us know. You can follow us on BlueSky, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Gold Squadron Gaze. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Gold Squadron Gaze, where we post full episodes of this podcast. If you like the podcast, you can also rate us and review us on your favorite podcast app of choice. Please join us next week and every week for another episode of Gold Squadron Gaze. By far, one of the hottest men I have ever clapped eyes on in person in my life. Like, this man was like twice my width and like just absolutely stacked. Like, his arms were, this is not a joke, his arms were the size of my head. And I was just like, you are the hottest man I have ever clapped eyes on in person. Jesus fucking Christ.